equals first contact misconceptions. The Galactic Consortium had existed for 12,000 years, uniting over 300 sapient species across 7 spiral arms of the Milky Way. They had protocols for everything: resource sharing, territorial disputes, technological advancement rates, and most importantly, first contact scenarios. Yet nothing in their extensive archives had prepared them for Earth. High Arbiter Zolvex stared at the holographic display with 7 of his 8 eyes, the final one closed in what his species considered a gesture of intense concentration. The swirling blue-green planet rotated slowly before him, its atmosphere chaotically churning with weather systems that would have devastated most civilized worlds. "Explain to me again," he said, his voice resonating through the crystalline chamber, "how any species managed to evolve sentience on that." Senior xenobiologist Trelka fluttered her luminescent appendages nervously. "High Arbiter, Earth defies conventional classification. The humans evolved on what should be categorized as a Class 9 death world. Their atmosphere is corrosive, their geological activity catastrophic, their biosphere saturated with predators, and their weather systems." She paused. "Well, they have destructive wind formations they affectionately call tornadoes." "Affectionately," one of the council members interjected. "Indeed, they chase them for scientific purposes and occasionally entertainment." A murmur ran through the assembled representatives. The hive mind of Belcherus, represented by a hovering crystal matrix, pulsed with confusion. The quantum consciousness of Mindari projected images of bewilderment. The gaseous collective of Nimbulus simply expanded slightly, which for them was the equivalent of a shocked gasp. But the most perplexing aspect, Trelka continued, is their technological development. Despite their planet's hostility, or perhaps because of it, they've advanced remarkably quickly. We detected their first primitive radio signals less than 2 centuries ago. And now, she gestured toward another hologram. A human vessel appeared, rotating slowly. It was ungainly by consortium standards, asymmetrical, patchworked, utilitarian. What unsettled the council wasn't its aesthetics, though, but its size. This craft was observed leaving their solar system last cycle, Trelka explained. Its dimensions exceed anything we expected from a newly spacefaring species. "Is this a warship?" asked the representative from Acrylia, their crystalline form shimmering with concern. "That's what troubles us," Trelka admitted. "We don't know. It bears no obvious weapon signatures, but its whole composition is remarkably resilient. It survived passing through an asteroid field with minimal evasive maneuvers. Our observers reported it simply plowed through smaller obstacles." "Impossible," declared Representative Vitor of the Silicon Dominion. "No sensible species builds spacecraft to collide with objects. The humans do not appear to be conventional in their engineering philosophy." Trelka replied diplomatically. "They prioritize redundancy and durability over efficiency. Their ships contain multiple backup systems, manual overrides for nearly everything, and structural reinforcement that our engineers have deemed excessive to the point of absurdity." High Arbiter Zolvex leaned forward. "Your assessment of their threat level?" Senior Tactician Kozran stepped forward, his exoskeleton clicking nervously. "High Arbiter, if these are merely their exploratory vessels, we must assume their dedicated warships are—" He struggled to find the right words. "Formidable beyond our current understanding." "Preposterous," scoffed Representative Vitor. "They're primitives barely out of their gravity well. Primitives who evolved on a planet that would kill most of us within minutes," Kozran countered. "Their baseline environmental tolerances exceed military training standards for 90% of consortium species. They can survive temperature variations that would require specialized equipment for most of us. And they're persistent. Our observation teams report humans continuing complex tasks despite injuries that would incapacitate most species." The council chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. "We must learn more," High Arbiter Zolvex finally declared. "Increase observation efforts, but maintain strict non-interference protocols." If these vessels are merely exploratory, we should not provoke whatever fleet they may be hiding. Captain Elena Rodriguez stretched in the command chair of the UNSC Magellan, a deep satisfaction warming her chest as she gazed at the main view screen. Alpha Centauri's twin suns blazed brilliantly, their light catching the Magellan's solar arrays and casting long shadows across the ship's hull. All systems nominal after that last radiation belt, Captain, reported Chief Engineer Takashi Watanabe. Though I'm still not happy about those micrometeorite impacts on the port cargo section. Elena smiled. Cosmetic damage, Chief. Nothing your repair drones can't handle. It's not the damage I'm worried about, Takashi grumbled. It's the principle. We spent 3 years building this beauty, and you're treating her like a battering ram. The Magellan was built to explore, Chief. Sometimes exploration gets a little rough. She turned to her science officer. Dr. Okafor, any updates on those anomalous readings we detected yesterday? Dr. Mkioma Okafor frowned at her console. Still present, Captain. Something's definitely out there, watching us. The energy signature doesn't match anything in our database, but it's behaving intelligently, changing position whenever we adjust course toward it. Elena's expression turned thoughtful. First contact protocols. Ready and waiting. Communications Officer Lai Wei confirmed. The welcome package is prepped for broadcast on all frequencies. The linguistic primer is loaded, and the cultural database is standing by. Good, Elena nodded. Whatever's out there, I want them to know we come in peace. She paused, then added with a grin, even if we did just bulldoze our way through an asteroid field to get here. Lieutenant Commander Jackson snorted from the tactical station. Ma'am, with all due respect, if aliens are watching us, they'd probably think we're completely insane. Or incredibly dangerous, Dr. Okafor added quietly. Elena laughed. The Magellan is a scientific vessel, people. We're here to study exoplanets and make friends, not start an interstellar incident. What could possibly go wrong? On the consortium observation vessel Silent Watcher, Commander Vextil nearly jumped out of his exoskeleton as alarms blared throughout the ship. They've changed course again, cried sensor operator Jix. They're heading directly toward us. Impossible, Vextil insisted. Our cloaking technology is. They're scanning us with some kind of primitive but extremely powerful radio wave technology, Jix interrupted. It's crude but effective. They're bouncing signals off our hull. Vextil felt his secondary heart begin palpitating. Evasive maneuvers. Get us out of here. Too late. They're broadcasting something. It appears to be information packets. The main screen flickered to life, displaying strange symbols and images. A bipedal creature, presumably a human, was making gestures with its upper appendages. It appeared to be smiling. Is this some kind of psychological warfare? Vextil whispered. Unknown, Commander, the communications officer replied. But their vessel is accelerating. Time to intercept. 17 minutes. Vextil made the decision instantly. Emergency jump. Get us back to consortium space immediately. And send a priority message to High Command. The humans have detected us and are in pursuit. As the Silent Watcher disappeared into hyperspace, the crew of the Magellan stared in confusion at their sensors, which now showed nothing but empty space where the mysterious reading had been. Well, Captain Rodriguez said after a moment of stunned silence, I guess they weren't ready to talk after all. The emergency session of the Galactic Consortium Security Council was unlike anything seen in 10 generations. Representatives from all major member species gathered, military advisors whispered urgently to their delegations, and strategic projections swirled across holographic displays. The humans pursued our observation vessel. Vextil insisted, still shaken from the encounter. Their ships are faster than our models predicted. Not just faster, senior tactician Kozran added grimly. Based on the scans we managed to obtain before the Silent Watcher jumped to safety, their vessel's energy output exceeds our estimates by a factor of 3. And those hull reinforcements. He shook his head. No civilian ship needs armor like that. They were broadcasting information, noted Representative Kallax of the Telepathic Confederacy. Perhaps an ultimatum. Or coordinates for our surrender, suggested another. High Arbiter Zolvex raised all 8 appendages, commanding silence. We cannot afford to misinterpret their intentions, but neither can we risk the safety of the consortium. Effective immediately, I am authorizing the formation of a defensive perimeter along the borders of human space. All civilian vessels are to maintain a minimum distance of 5 light-years from Earth's solar system. And if the humans breach the perimeter? Asked a representative from the back of the chamber. The High Arbiter's exoskeleton seemed to darken slightly. Then may the cosmic harmony have mercy on us all. The revelation and resolution. 6 months later, the situation had deteriorated beyond anyone's expectations. The consortium's defensive perimeter now consisted of 117 capital ships, supported by over 500 escorts and patrol vessels, the largest military mobilization in over 1,000 years. Intelligence reports indicated that human exploration had expanded in all directions, with dozens of their massive vessels now operating beyond their home system. In the observation deck of the flagship Eternal Vigilance, Admiral Kavax studied the tactical display with growing concern. Another human ship has crossed the Procyon threshold, he noted. That makes 7 this cycle. Strategic Advisor Zhou nodded grimly. They're probing our defenses, Admiral, testing our resolve, or simply exploring, unaware of the crisis they've created, suggested diplomatic liaison Tilara. She was among the minority who advocated for direct communication with the humans, a position that had become increasingly unpopular as tension escalated. Ignorance is no excuse, Zhou countered. Their ships are clearly designed for military purposes, the reinforced hulls, the excessive power generation, the redundant systems. These are the hallmarks of warships. Tilara fluttered her sensory membranes in frustration. We've observed no weapons fire, no aggressive maneuvers. They broadcast messages of peace in thousands of frequencies and formats. A clever deception, Zhou dismissed. While we debate their intentions, their vessels spread throughout the sector like a viral infection. Admiral Kavax was about to respond when an alert chimed softly. Admiral, called the sensor officer, new contact detected. Human vessel, bearing directly toward our position. Classification, Kavax demanded. Unknown, sir. It's smaller than the others we've encountered, but its energy signature is unusual. The main screen activated, displaying the approaching craft. Unlike the bulky, utilitarian vessels they'd observed before, this one was sleek, aerodynamic, almost elegant. It's broadcasting, Admiral, reported the communications officer. Standard greeting protocols, similar to previous encounters. They're requesting permission to approach. Kavax felt his protective scales tighten against his body. Is this their idea of diplomacy? To send a single vessel against our armada? Or perhaps, Tilara suggested carefully, it's exactly what it appears to be, an attempt at peaceful contact. After a moment of tense deliberation, Kavax nodded. Allow them to approach, but at the first sign of hostile intent, I want that vessel vaporized. Ambassador Sophia Chen had spent her entire career preparing for this moment, though she'd never truly believed it would come. As the diplomatic shuttle Olive Branch glided toward the alien armada, she reviewed her notes one final time. Ambassador, called the pilot, they'd granted approach clearance. We're being directed to dock with what appears to be their flagship. Sophia took a deep breath. Proceed, Captain. Let's not keep our new friends waiting. The docking procedure was tense, but uneventful. As the airlock cycled, Sophia straightened her uniform and prepared to make history. The alien delegation that greeted her was a diversity of form beyond anything humanity had imagined. Beings of crystal, gas, exoskeleton, and configurations that defied easy categorization all regarded her with what she hoped was curiosity rather than hostility. A tall insectoid creature stepped forward. "I am Admiral Kivax of the Galactic Consortium. You have entered restricted space, human." Sophia bowed slightly, following the protocols developed by Earth's xenoanthropologists. "I am Ambassador Sophia Chen of Earth. I come with gratitude for this opportunity to establish peaceful communication between our peoples." The Admiral's compound eyes seemed to flicker with confusion. "You approach our defense fleet and speak of peace." "Of course," Sophia replied. "Humanity has long dreamed of peaceful contact with other intelligent life. When we detected your observation vessels, we were overjoyed. Your departure was unexpected, but we hoped you would return." A ripple of communication passed through the alien delegation. "You claim your intentions are peaceful," said another alien, this one seemingly composed of translucent crystal, "yet your vessels are built for war." Sophia blinked in surprise. "I assure you, our exploration ships are scientific vessels. The Magellan, Galileo Curie, these are named for our greatest scientists and explorers. Scientific vessels." The crystalline alien's form pulsed with what might have been disbelief, with armor plating capable of withstanding meteor impacts, with redundant systems and reinforced hulls. Understanding dawned on Sophia's face, followed by a smile she couldn't suppress. "You've misunderstood. Those aren't warships. They're simply built to survive the rigors of space exploration. Earth is, well, it's a challenging environment. We build everything to last." "You expect us to believe," Admiral Kivax said slowly, "that vessels capable of plowing through asteroid fields without evasive maneuvers are mere exploration ships?" "Well, yes," Sophia said. "Space is dangerous. We prepare accordingly." The alien delegation conferred among themselves. Their communication methods varied and fascinating. Finally, Admiral Kivax turned back to her. "If these massive armored vessels are not your warships," he asked, a new tension in his voice, "then what precisely does Earth deploy when it goes to war?" Sophia hesitated. This was delicate diplomatic territory. "Earth hasn't engaged in interplanetary warfare, Admiral. Our conflicts have been limited to our home world, and even those have diminished significantly since we began focusing on space exploration." "Show us," demanded the crystalline alien. "Show us these scientific vessels in detail." Sophia nodded and activated her datapad. Holographic images appeared, showing the interior of the Magellan, laboratories, hydroponics bays, crew quarters, and the bridge. "As you can see, these ships are designed for long-term research missions. Yes, they're sturdy, but that's because they carry hundreds of people on multi-year journeys. We can't exactly call for roadside assistance in deep space." The aliens studied the images with intense focus. Gradually, the tension in the room began to dissipate. "You truly didn't realize," Tilera said softly. "You didn't know we perceived your ships as threats." "Of course not," Sophia replied. "We've been broadcasting peace messages since our first ventures beyond our solar system." Admiral Kivax made a sound that might have been a sigh. "The consortium has existed for 12,000 years, Ambassador Chen. In that time, we have developed certain expectations about how civilized species behave. Your methods are unconventional," Sophia suggested with a smile. "Terrifying," the Admiral corrected, though there was now a hint of what might have been humor in his voice. "You emerged from a death world, built ships that treat cosmic hazards as minor inconveniences, and then seemed surprised when the galaxy reacted with concern." Sophia laughed, a sound that startled several members of the alien delegation. "I suppose from your perspective, humans must seem rather intimidating. But I assure you, we're explorers and scientists at heart. We come seeking friendship and knowledge, not conquest." 3 days of intense diplomatic negotiations followed. The consortium representatives were particularly disturbed by humanity's casual approach to radiation, atmospheric contaminants, and gravitational stresses, conditions that would have required extensive protective measures for most species. You mean to tell me, one alien diplomat asked incredulously during a tour of the olive branch, that your species regularly consumes neurotoxins for pleasure? Sophia followed his gaze to the ship's small galley, where a pot of coffee sat brewing. Oh, caffeine. Yes, many humans drink it daily. It helps us stay alert. A substance that evolved specifically to paralyze insect nervous systems, the diplomat noted. And you drink it for fun. Well, when you put it that way, it does sound a bit strange, Sophia admitted. Such revelations continued throughout the negotiations, gradually transforming the consortium's fear into a complex mixture of horror, respect, and fascination. The humans, they realized, weren't warmongers. They were simply the products of an evolutionary crucible, unlike anything the consortium had encountered before. On the final day, Admiral Kovacs presented Sophia with a formal invitation for Earth to send representatives to the Galactic Consortium. We have much to learn from each other, he said. Though I request that your delegates undergo a thorough briefing on consortium environmental protocols before arrival, our atmospheric composition may be challenging for humans. Sophia smiled. I'm sure we can adapt, Admiral. Humans are quite good at that. As she prepared to depart, T. Lara approached with one final question. Ambassador Chen, there is something that still troubles me. If your exploration vessels are so formidably constructed, what would a human warship actually look like? Sophia's expression turned serious. Let's hope we never have to find out, T. Lara. Earth united largely because we recognized how destructive our conflicts have become. The ships we send to the stars carry our best qualities, our curiosity, our resilience, our desire to understand. If we ever built true warships, she paused. Well, as I said, let's hope we never need to. As the olive branch departed, the consortium representatives watched in thoughtful silence. They had prepared for war against a species that wanted nothing more than peaceful contact. The misunderstanding had been resolved, but one unsettling question remained in many minds. If humans built exploratory vessels capable of surviving conditions that would destroy most military ships, what terrifying capabilities might they unleash if genuinely threatened? The galaxy, it seemed, could only hope they never had reason to find out.